ये ऑडियो इस बारे में है कि हमने जो 100x सिस्टम्स ये हम वेबसाइट बना रहे हैं, ठीक है, इसके पीछे का मेन आइडिया क्या है। इस वेबसाइट का नाम 100x सिस्टम्स क्यों है। सबसे पहले मैं आपको ये बताऊंगा, उसके बाद ये बताऊंगा कि आइडिया क्या है इसके पीछे का। ठीक है, किस तरीके से मैं इसमें कंटेंट डालूंगा और मतलब किस तरीके से we are going forward, ठीक है। एंड देन यू कैन पुट योर ओन ओपिनियंस, योर ओन थॉट्स इफ यू फील एनीथिंग कि कुछ सही है या कुछ गलत है, ठीक है। तो 100x सिस्टम्स एक्चुअली देखो, इन एवरीथिंग, इन एवरी टेक्नोलॉजी, ठीक है। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम कुछ भी सीखते हैं, ठीक है, अगर हम फॉर एग्जांपल मैं सबसे इजी लैंग्वेज मतलब सबसे इजी टेक्नोलॉजी लेता हूँ, HTML, ठीक है। सबको HTML आती है, ठीक है। एंड इट्स लाइक कि उसमें क्या ही होगा, ठीक है। उसको बस उसमें 1 घंटे की वीडियो देखनी है, उसको यूज़ करना है, एंड उसमें पता होना चाहिए कि मेटा टैग्स क्या होते हैं, सिमेंटिक टैग्स क्या होते हैं, एंड हाउ दे वर्क। But if you go into the details of it now, if you go into the depth of his simplest technology HTML, ठीक है, उसके पीछे ना बहुत तगड़ी इंजीनियरिंग लगी हुई है। उसके पीछे एक सिस्टम है, उसके पीछे एक पूरा वो कैसे काम करता है, ठीक है। अब इसका मतलब करियर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखा जाए तो आपको लग रहा होगा कि क्या लेना देना है इसका करियर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, है ना, कि हम HTML CSS, है ना, और मतलब जितना भी आपका वेब डेवलपमेंट का डोमेन होता है, यू कैन लर्न ऑल ऑफ दिस टेक्नोलॉजीज एज क्विकली एज पॉसिबल एंड देन यू कैन स्टार्ट बिल्डिंग योर ओन प्रोजेक्ट। सर बस इतना ही करना होता है ना। यस, एवरीबडी डज द सेम थिंग, बट एक एक जो इंजीनियर होता है ना, एक जो इंजीनियरिंग क्यूरियोसिटी होती है, उसमें अगर आप उनको एक सिस्टम के बारे में भी इतनी डीप में नॉलेज हो ना, ठीक है। फॉर एग्जांपल HTML के जो अंदर का जो होता है ना, आपका एब्स्ट्रैक्ट सिंटैक्स ट्री कैसे बनता है, उसके अंदर डॉम में कैसे मैनिपुलेशन होती है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स, ठीक है। तो बहुत सारी जो चीज़ें होती हैं उसके अंदर कि वो ब्राउज़र के साथ कैसे इंटरेक्ट करता है, कैसे रेंडरिंग होती है, ये चीज़ें अगर उसकी हम डेप्थ में जाते हैं ना, ठीक है, तो उस एक सिस्टम से एक्चुअली हमारी नॉलेज एक्सपैंड होती है। बिकॉज वो सारे प्रिंसिपल्स आपकी लर्निंग में अप्लाई होने वाले हैं हर जगह। जब उसको किसी और चीज़ में कोई और टेक्नोलॉजी में आप उसको जब कोई और टेक्नोलॉजी आप सीखोगे, ठीक है, तो उसमें वो सारी जो आपने चीज़ें सीखी होंगी, दैट चेंजेस योर पर्सपेक्टिव, दैट मेक्स यू मोर मेच्योर इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ यू आर एज अ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, राइट। तो ये जो, और ये कोई नहीं कर रहा है, ठीक है। नोबडी इज गोइंग इन टू दैट मच डेप्थ, मे बी बिकॉज उनके पास इतना टाइम नहीं है, ठीक है, या फिर दे जस्ट डोंट वांट टू डू इट, जस्ट दे जस्ट वांट जॉब एंड दे जस्ट वांट टू रश बिहाइंड their careers and everything. But I also want a job, but there has to be some love for engineering, love for actually the depth of how actually things have been made, right। तो वो सब एक्चुअली उसकी सिर्फ क्रेज़ मेरे को नहीं है, बहुत सारे इंजीनियर्स को होती है, लेकिन उनको इतना टाइम ही नहीं मिलता है कि वो सारी चीज़ें एक्सप्लोर कर सकें, ठीक है। और ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं उसे एक दिन में या फिर इवन इन 6 मंथ्स में या 1 साल के अंदर एक्सप्लोर कर पाऊंगा। मेरे को 5 से 10 साल लग जाएंगे, ठीक है। एंड दिस वेबसाइट इज़ जस्ट माई आई वुड बी माई एडवेंचर, और वो जितना भी मेरी एक्सप्लोरेशन होगी इतने लंबे स्पैन ऑफ टाइम के लिए, सारी चीज़ें सीखने के लिए, आई जस्ट वॉन्ट टू डॉक्यूमेंट इट, मेक आर्टिकल्स एंड share it to the engineers as well, so they don't have to spend that much time in order to understand these things, ठीक है। तो so this is the whole idea, right। तो आप कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी ले लो, जब तक आप उसकी डेप्थ में नहीं जाओगे ना, तब तक आप उसके सरफेस लेवल पे रहोगे। और वही सरफेस लेवल जो होगा वो एक्चुअली में हर जगह पे आपको चीज़ें बता दी जाएंगी कि आपको उसे यूज़ करना है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ़ यू टेक एनी ऑफ द मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजीज, द लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजीज इन ट्रेंड, ठीक है, इन एनी डोमेन, फॉर वेदर दैट बी AI, ठीक है, उसमें पाइथन की लाइब्रेरीज होती हैं, आपकी वेब डेवलपमेंट के अंदर आपकी जितनी भी लाइब्रेरीज होती हैं, ठीक है, इट्स जस्ट ए रैपर around there some implementation that is actually making the lives of the developers easy, ठीक है, लेकिन वो रैपर अंदर से काम कैसे कर रहा है वो कोई नहीं बताता। बिकॉज जब आप चीज़ें डेवलप कर रहे हो, जब चीज़ें बना रहे हो, उस टाइम आपका फोकस है बनाने पे, उस टाइम आपका चीज़ें हैं उसे यूज़ करने पे। ठीक है, सो दैट शुड नॉट टेक ए लॉट ऑफ टाइम। ठीक है, बट दैट इज अ सेपरेट टॉपिक। ठीक है, बट उसके अंदर की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कैसे हो रही है, वो कैसे बना, कैसे क्यों, तो दैट इज द रियल इंजीनियरिंग वर्क। ठीक है, जो भी किसी ने करा होगा और वो जो करते हैं, दैट इज एक्चुअली द रियल इंजीनियर्स। ठीक है, 100x इंजीनियर्स, they have the knowledge and they build the things themselves, those things themselves, because they have already understood and explored some of the similar domains in such depth. They have understood the system, right? System, it's a very broad term. You can see the system in system design, you can see the, okay, you can see the terminology in every software you actually are using. It's like अगर मैं ये व्हाट्सएप यूज़ कर रहा हूँ, इसके पीछे भी इसका सिस्टम डिज़ाइन होगा कि हाउ दे आर यूजिंग द ऑल द कैशिंग। ठीक है, मतलब डाटाबेस कहाँ पे स्टोर हो रहा है, इंक्रिप्शन, सिक्योरिटी, एवरीथिंग। सो इट्स लाइक कि how everything is working, like the whole picture of something, the global picture of something. You understand the whole, you understand everything, like everything is connected. So that connection is something that you build through systems, right? But when you feel like, okay, HTML is something which is in very isolation, it has nothing to do with any other domain in the software industry, then you are wrong. Okay, because that is the difference. It's that is the difference between understanding the systems, right? And when you understand a system with the 100x of scale, with the 100x of depth, then you understand that even a simple technology and as HTML has a major impact in every domain, and its system is not easy to understand, it's very complicated. And if you just think of it in any domain, for that be any website, for example Facebook, for example Uber, for example this Zomato, Swiggy, they have a system design behind it, right? तो वो चीज़ें कैसे बनती हैं, वो चीज़ें, ठीक है, उसमें आपकी स्केलिंग, ऑप्टिमाइजेशन, ये सारी चीज़ें कैसे होती हैं, और ये ठीक है, बिकॉज इट्स लाइक यू हैव द टूल्स। ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी ए आई आ रहा है, तो यू हैव द टूल्स, यू कैन ऑल्सो tell AI to develop some of the things. Like AI can be used as a tool as well in order to develop it, but you have to know firsthand, you have to have a whole picture of it, you have to understand the system in such a depth, then you can build something around it. For example, if you understand the system of HTML in such a depth, well, that can be like a very I mean, not a good example, but I'm just making it easier. If you understand such a that you can make your own HTML, right? I mean, you don't have to develop. You don't have to spend a lot of time in developing that thing. Like you can also use AI to do that, but AI cannot develop HTML from scratch, right? You have to understand the system first, so that you can use the tools in order to build something. So that is the idea that actually engineers are lacking right now, and that also myself I'm lacking, right? And that is why it is not any course or any something like that, or a, or something which is actually we are going forward for commercial purposes. It's not a business, right? It is definitely a company, but for the welfare of the developers, right? For learning, right? So there are, it's not that I'm the first one, there are already a lot of projects like this. For example, the Odin project, and and free code camp, right? And a lot many, but nobody is talking in such a great depth, right? Another problem that I see around the software engineers is that uh, in the community is that there are a lot of videos, there are a lot of courses around everything, right? But if I want to learn something, uh, when I actually have not a lot of time, for example, I'm an experienced engineer, right? I have 1 year or 2 years of experience. Now I want to switch jobs or I want to get promotion. I don't have a time to watch videos. I don't have time to spend 50 hours or 60 hours in a course because I already know the basics, right? I just want to scream through the notes. I just want to scream through the major topics so that I could decide myself to which topics to spend to. I want to maybe skim through the syntax and stuff like that. तो ऐसे रिसोर्सेज है ही नहीं, राइट, किसी भी चीज़ के लिए, बिकॉज वो स्कैटर्ड है काफ़ी ज़्यादा. देर इज़ ए डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ़ आई वॉन्ट टू लर्न नोट जेएस, राइट, सो उसकी आप उसके ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट पर जाओ, राइट, उसके डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में इतने सारे टॉपिक्स हैं, राइट, यू कैन नॉट डू दैट. बट ऑन वीडियोस दैट इज, मतलब वीडियोस काफ़ी ज़्यादा लेंदी है, काफ़ी ज़्यादा लॉन्ग है, सो देर इज़ नो bridge that is actually connecting these videos to to very easy notes. ठीक है, मतलब इतने easy articles और इतने easy use that any beginner can follow, right, if they go very slowly, and any senior developer can also skim through it very quickly, right, because they already know it, right. So these notes, these articles, there can be an argument that AI can also generate articles and all those things. So why would anybody would spend time to create articles or to read articles? If AI is generating everything, there is a great uh, false information in the world right now because of AI. Right, AI hallucinates, AI spreads false information, and AI keeps telling you that you are right, right, even though it is false. And that this is the biggest issue that that uh, people ignore. They think that okay, it's okay whatever it is, but later on the time you feel that okay कि actually वो गलत था जो उसने बताया. So AI is still a tool that can be used in some good situations and applications. But when it comes to the education sector, AI is not good. It's bad. It can be for certain situations, right? For certain situations, for example, getting some advices or getting opinions, answers, right? Or something. But for learning purposes, for discovery purposes, for actually getting the factual information, for actually getting the authentic information from the right resources in a way that is actually complete as well, right? You don't find it at all, because most of the content right now is also in the web is also AI generated, and that's also a problem. So when we consider all of these factors, and we can build a platform together, we can build a platform where every single article, every single source in our website, in our system's website, it's actually authentic, right? And that article is not going to be very short. For example, if you take a very small topic, right, everybody knows about JavaScript, right? If you take a very small topic, for example, variables, right? Now, there are three variables, of course, let, const, and var. But if you want to write an article on it, right, it wouldn't be like it will just be of 100 lines or 1,000 lines. It is going to be very long, because there can be a lot of things that you can discuss in that particular topic of JavaScript, right? If you go into some other domains such as hosting, or like there are hosting, temporal dead zones, and a lot of topics around that, around a simple concept. And the best thing about notes is that they never get stale. For example, some of people actually have recommended me to create videos, to create courses, right? For example, if I take the example of React, right? So if somebody tells me build a video on React, right? Build your own course on React and teach it in the same fundamental principles, with the same fundamental principles, and build it and explain it in such a great depth, right? Now, there are two issues in this. The first issue is that if I go very simple in how I'm making the videos, right? How I'm making the React videos and everything, it's going to be the same content as the content which is already available in the YouTube. Right, you search React tutorials in English or in Hindi, everything is already available in YouTube. Then how am are you different from others, right? It's just a unnecessary effort, which is not going to be useful for anybody, right? Because if they really wanted to watch it, they could have already watched those videos, right? I'm not teaching different from that. Otherwise, if I teach in very depth, That is what I actually wanted to do. If I go into the internals and the systems of React, how it is built, getting into the source code of it, building your own React, everything, right? It is going to be very long. I would say it is not going to be less than 100 hours, right? It's going to be more than 100 hours of lectures. Then who is going to watch it? Nobody, right? No one is going to watch that kind of lectures. So it's like it would feel to me like an unnecessary effort. You know why? Because if today I'm going into the internals in the depth of the React in such with such a great effort and making 100 hours of content of videos, and if after 1 year or 2 year I just want to revise what in which I had put the efforts so that I could go forward, because maybe I would not have been in touch with React for a lot of time. So if I wanted to revise my own creation, right, revise whatever I've created and done so that I could move forward, I cannot do that, right? I would not be able to do this because the content will be so huge, it will be so large. So this is not just a problem for others, it be a problem for me as well, right? तो मतलब इसका मतलब ये है कि कंटेंट जो है ना, वीडियोस वाला तो नहीं चलने वाला, क्योंकि वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा लंबा हो जाएगा. देन द बेस्ट थिंग वुड बी टू बी इन द डोमेन ऑफ आर्टिकल्स. ठीक है, इन द डोमेन ऑफ नोट्स. ठीक है, क्योंकि एक प्रॉब्लम ये भी है कि आपके जो वीडियो का कंटेंट है ना, अगर मैंने आज बनाया और मैंने अगर उसको बना भी लिया, मैंने उसको काफ़ी हार्डवर्क करके मेहनत करके मैंने पूरा रिएक्ट की एक्सप्लेनेशन सब कुछ किया, कंटेंट बना लिया, दैट इज़ अ स्टेल डाटा. ठीक है, स्टेल वीडियो. द कंटेंट कैन नॉट बी अपडेटेड एज द चेंजेस इन द रिएक्ट आर हैपनिंग. फॉर एग्जांपल आज रिएक्ट का वर्जन 19 चल रहा है, आज से 1 साल बाद रिएक्ट का वर्जन 20 आ गया, अब उसमें नए चेंजेस आ गए. ठीक है, एंड ब्रेकिंग चेंजेस आ गए. अब मैं किसी को वही पुराना वाला रिएक्ट का कोर्स पढ़ाऊंगा जो 100 घंटे में मैं लगा के मैंने बनाया है, उसमें इतना एफर्ट लगाया है, लेकिन वो पुराना हो चुका है, स्टेल हो चुका है. ठीक है, and that is the problem with technology right now, and people are still creating courses and still getting outdated. It especially happens when next years, if अगर उसका कोई भी कोर्स तुम देखोगे 6 महीने पुराना वाला आउटडेटेड ऑलरेडी हो जाता है, क्योंकि उसके डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में अपडेट्स इतने आते हैं. बट आर्टिकल्स में, नोट्स में ऐसी चीज़ें नहीं होंगी. क्यों नहीं होंगी? क्योंकि आर्टिकल्स तो लिखे हुए हैं ना, वो वहाँ पे पड़ा हुआ है. अब कोई भी चेंजेस आएंगे, अपडेट आएंगी, यू कैन जस्ट change it, right? You can change those articles, you can change the word, I mean, you can add or delete some words into it, and it will be always fresh, it will be always updated. And even others can also contribute on the notes, right? Others can also add something to the notes and things like that. And and that will also be considered as a self study. They can also try out the examples in the notes and the stuff, and they can also now listen to the unique idea that I have, that we are going to do with the notes. Okay, the first unique idea is that with the notes we are going to actually have it like a podcast, right? Yes, it's not going to be videos, it's going to be a podcast. And how do we avoid the problem of stale content which gets old? We are going to divide those podcasts into smaller chunks. For example, if I am trying to explain a simple article on what are JavaScript variables, now in that article there would be different sections, right? I mean, it's a single article, which means it's a single page. In a single page, because the article is so large, there will be different sections explaining about every article. In that article, every section will explain everything in a very great depth. Now, in every section, you're going to have a podcast, you're going to have a 5 minutes of audio or 10 minutes of audio to explain that thing, right? And that also in a very slow term, very slow tone, right? Very, a very beautiful tone, which we can also, I mean, have better audio quality through noise reduction and stuff like that. So It will actually feel like a production quality. The best thing is that whenever somebody is listening to a podcast of a particular section of notes, they can actually switch between the voices, because there cannot, it's not like there will be only one person who are actually narrating the notes or explaining some of the topics in really great depth. There can be a podcast of the same article by two or three persons that also in multiple languages, so they can also listen in the native language. So actually the articles will be in English, but if they want to listen in Bengali, if they want to listen in Marathi, in Hindi, right, they can do that, because there will be options to do to listen to it. तो दिस इज़ द मोस्ट क्रिएटिव कंटेंट, बिकॉज समझ उसी में लैंग्वेज में आती है जिस लैंग्वेज में हम एक्चुअली में बात करते हैं और सीख रहे होते हैं। तो हिंदी में ज़्यादा समझ आती है। इंग्लिश में यू कैन रीड द कंटेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड द टर्मिनोलॉजीज एंड एवरीथिंग। तो दैट इज़ हाउ यू कंबाइन ऑल एवरीथिंग एंड इट्स गोइंग टू बी ब्यूटीफुल। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, once a person has completed the article or the podcast, every article is going to have some assignments, some assessments, right? Every article is going to have some follow up outsourced resources, right? That they can study from. Now, these outsourced resources are actually going to be the most authentic and most factual resources, right? So there a lot of things are, I mean, we have discussed. Some of it is similar to the Odin project. Some of it is similar to one or two other startups that actually I am aware of. There was a startup that is actually doing the similar kind of thing, creating it step by step walkthrough tutorials for them to handle the cloud projects, right? Like AWS projects and things like that, because it is actually difficult to practice or build projects in cloud through cloud. So there actually are n number of possibilities, and let me know if you think that there can be other features and other things that we can add apart from this in our website, in our tools, in our design, in our system design. And I think if it's just about articles and notes and also narrating it, explaining it in such a depth, um, there can be one topic and different people can explain it in the different ways, right? Initially it would be, and then we can also have an option that whosoever explanation you would want to see or you would want to understand. So there can be one topic, JavaScript variables. Now the user can understand the same topic from a perspective of five different developers with the voice narration of five different developers, right? That would be amazing without actually spending a lot of time in videos, because the audio, the podcast can also be listened to through in the background, right? And it is not going to take a lot of load on the mind, because it's just a podcast. It's just like something that you would enjoy. If you want to watch, I mean, if you want to learn, you can also learn while enjoying the content. So, and it's going to be absolutely free, and it's going to take a lot of time, and it's the depth that we are going into those articles, those topics, it's going to be a lot more than you can imagine, because I'm going to break the topics, the subtopics, in such a granular level that you will not be able to write more than 3 lines if you don't know the depth. For example, uh, if you know, if I tell you to write an article on mm, on, you can say a particular, for example, CSS, right? But a particular feature of CSS, right? Like classes, right? So how does class work in CSS? it depends. It's like there can be a lot of things that you can add with this simple topic of understanding how classes work. Not only externally but internally as well. How does it detect? How does it able to, the same class can be applied to multiple HTML tags and stuff like that. Apart from this, systems is not just about domain specific things. For example, for web development, for data science, for uh, game development and other domains, right? It's not domain specific. It's actually something that every engineer should know, because the core of systems is something which is common in every domain. The basic systems, where do they arise from? What is fundamental in every single system? Everybody knows about it. That networking, computer networks, is in every system, right? And operating system is in every system, and databases is in every system. Without these three fundamentals, no system can be built, right? So that is why if you do not understand these three systems well, right, how will you move forward in order to understand the systems? You first have to start with this, or maybe you first have to understand this in very great depth. Then only you can connect these and use this, because these are not subjects, these are tools that they teach you what to use, what not to use, how things are working internally, so that you can use those things. And that is what we are going to show. So if I think up and if I think about the website, if I think about what type of content we should be adding on the website, first it should definitely be around these fundamentals, right? Like what is networking, I mean, explaining networking in very depth, operating system in depth, databases in great depth, and system design basics. And then we can should go with any domain whatsoever like to have, and study it with the same perspective of systems as well. So we'll start soon, keeping that mindset of systems and actually becoming 100x in systems. Because yeah, somebody be thinking, where are we going to use systems in our career? uh, because in job it does not matter that much, we are just going to use tools more than the systems. Well, initially at your initial stages of career that might be true, but what separates a junior engineer from a senior engineer is only the knowledge of systems, is only the understanding of the systems. And that is why system design is so precious, so important, and that is actually what makes you a good engineer. There are roles like system architect, principal engineer, tech lead. They do not code. They do not even write a single line of code, because they've already been writing it since 5 years or 10 years. Now they know everything in the code and development. Now their responsibility is more about handling the systems and stuff like that. And they have actually spent so many years in order to understand the systems. And I don't and since technology is going so fast, AI is making people and engineers actually excel at a faster speed. So I don't want software engineers like me or anybody to spend another 10 years in order to learn the same things that other software architects, principal engineers, tech leads, or even me in the future would spend time learning it. So I want them to learn it in the college itself. I want them to become or have the knowledge of it, because they can have the knowledge of it if they had the right resources, if they had the right awareness, if they had the right structured path in order to learn the systems. right? That's it. I think 30 minutes are over, so I can close it.